I was graciously gifted a Raspberry Pi 5 by my cousin. Absolutely fabulous. A Pi and a case. We're going to unbox those and get started on assembly. This is a mini tower case for Pi5. From Electro Cookie. Not advertising, just commenting. Nice little sized box. Better than the one that comes with the Pi. Lots of stuff to put together too. And we're going to open the Pi box. Lots of great stuff comes with this. Got the paperwork. That's the original case that comes with the Pi, just not quite enough cooling power inside if you intend to overclock the CPU on it, which is the reason for the bigger case. So we're going to leave that in the box. And pull out the Pi. Sorry, no whipped cream for this one. Absolutely great little Pi. Comes with all the instructions if you have really good vision. Very tiny writing. I of course have downloaded the manual onto my computer so I can zoom in and see what I'm doing. Also comes with a micro SD card. This one is a 64, but you can get bigger cards for this and run as much information as you want to. And the original fan and cooler, I'll be using the one that comes with the case because it has a much bigger fan in relationship to the one that comes originally with it. And comes with the USB-C power cable. And it looks to be a micro SD card reader. Yes. USB 2. And of course the tiny little screwdrivers. And 2 micro HDMI to standard HDMI cables for connecting to monitors. And that seems to be all that comes in the box, but it's absolutely enough. We'll be right back to get this all sorted out and get it assembled. Unlike some of the pros, I've never used a Pi or assembled a Pi, so I need to use the pictographic instructions. None of that tiny writing to have to decipher. Has the parts list and full assembly from the power switch all the way to the fully assembled item. Let's go. Okay, we'll find the power switch in the little Ziploc bag. Now this power switch just actually pushes the button on the Raspberry Pi itself. It's not actually a switch, just a button pusher. And there it's in. Stretches in like that. When you push in, it pushes it, then pushes the little button on the Pi. And now for the cooler assembly. And I love these little foam bags. Okay, there's the cooler and the fan. You have to make certain the direction is correct for the fan to work properly. Make certain that the label is out. I am not exactly certain which way is up. Okay, on further examination, I have the wrong piece here. I need to put this one down and pick up the one with all the vanes on it. Yeah, there we go. Now where's the fan? The fan is right here. And that looks a little bit better. Alrighty. And we have washers and screws. There are two kinds of screws that come with this packaging, and one is the short black screw that I just dropped on my desk. A very short black screw. You don't want to do that with the fan. It comes with a longer silver screw that fits for the fan. And short black screws go for everything else, apparently. So we need to set the O-rings in place for vibration protection. Last thing you want to do is shake your processor to death. And now that I have the fan turned the right direction, we can start again with the assembly of the fan. Label in, not out. Otherwise, the screws can't get into the recess in the fan body and reach the screw holes. Try not to lose any of the screws that come with it because there are only 4. They don't give you any extras. Don't tighten the screws all the way down really tight because you want the O-ring to be able to absorb the vibration from the fan. And the fan's installed. And now for the cooling plate. It goes in like that and uses 4 of the really tiny screws. I'll get one started and then get the other 3 out. Anytime you have more than one screw going into an object, do not tighten that one screw all the way down until you get the other 3 in their respective holes, because you may not be able to get it in the hole without it being lined up properly. So always leave the first screw a little bit loose until you get all 4 screws into the device, and then tighten all 4 down. Okay, now that we have all 4 of them tightened completely, we move on to the next step, is with the processor. Move that out of the way. Now before we put the processor, the cooling tower on the processors, we must put it on the pads, the thermal pads. I really wouldn't try using thermal paste with one of these. It could get quite messy. Excuse the dog who wants to just speak to housekeeping while he's here. And that pad goes there. That pad goes there. Oh, that pad goes here. And this pad goes here, according to the instructions. And be sure to remove the plastic film so that you can stick the pads where they need to go and they can get the thermal conductivity that they need. Has plastic film on both sides. be sure to remove both of them before you put the cooling tower in place. Or you won't be cooling a darn thing. And there's the servo pads. Let's remove the other plastic shields that love you. They love you. They don't want to leave your fingers. They're not sticky. They're just static electricity. I know some people that are cleaning that way. Not naming any names. And now replace the cooling tower. Might want to get the screws for the cooling tower out before I place it down. They're not really screws, they just snap through the holes in the board. But the springs up. I believe that's what the instructions say. Let us double check. Yes. Alright. Push it through. And push the other one through. And then place it where it's supposed to go. Now there are two holes side by side here on this board. You'll see that one here and one here. You have to put it in this hole, not the screw hole for the standoffs, which we need to put the standoffs in before we put that on it. Where's my standoffs? The standoffs. You put the chrome ones on the bottom and you put the brass ones on the top. Forgive the sound effects you hear in the background. That is my live chat telling me that somebody has come in to the chat room. Okay, the standoffs are in. Now replace cooling tower and push the pins through the holes very gently but firmly. Gentle but firm pressure. because you do not want to break the plastic pins. And the cooling tower is in. And on the back of the cooling tower, we need to place the pin bar. It comes with a pin label that goes on the case so that you know what pins go where and what number they are. You wouldn't want to get that screwed up. And we are plugged in. And you use one of those black screws. And screw the stand off onto the board. For a second I was wondering, why did they send me 2 extra standoffs? It's not extras. They will be used. They have a little fan port cover. You have to make certain that that's removed before trying to connect the fan to the power, and make certain that the fan connector is going in the right direction. Don't want to get it backwards. And there's the fan connected. And now for the details. Let's put it in the box. You got to put it in at an angle so that the ports will line up with the holes. Otherwise, you won't be able to get it in. And it might be a good thing to take the screws out of the bag before you get it set in there. That way, you're not just going to have the screws scattering all over the place. pieces again from the cooling pads. Screws down. Well, this little tiny screwdriver makes me a little nervous, but I thought might as well assemble it with the tools that came with it just to show that you can. And the ports are resting in their holes quite nicely. The power button pusher pushes nicely. And now we place the bumper pads, rubber discs on the bottom. Accuracy is not as paramount unless you really like it a clean build, and it's up to you entirely. And there's the feet. And that is the Raspberry Pi mounted into the box. Now we get to put the sides on to complete the build. And they have made this so you can take them off. Now it does matter which plate goes on which side. This plate has all of the pin information directly on the plate, so it needs to go on the back where the pins are coming out so that you'll have that information right there with you. And then the other faceplate will go on the other side. do not want to tighten these screws in this panel too tight. It will strip them out. So just screw them in until they stop, and then stop. And the last panel. And this is also where you would plug in your power port and your 2 micro HDMI ports. And there it is. Micro SD card. You go in that slot right there. Which is tricky to get it into, but there it goes. That's where the memory card goes. And we're done. Thank you for playing.